Hey, it's good to have you join us on NTA International News. I am Dennis Adegunloye. Let's begin with the headlines. Build up to Easter, Christians observe Palm Sunday, renew commitment to peaceful coexistence among the people. Insurgents vandalize power lines in Borno State, the second in 24 hours, depriving Maiduguri of power supply. And police descend on criminals terrorizing personnel, make arrests and confiscate arms across the country. And now the details. Today is Palm Sunday, usually marking the beginning of the feast that falls on the Sunday before Easter, which is also the last day of Lent. Charles Alpha reports that the NTA Chapel of Resurrection was not left out of the celebration, honoring Jesus Christ's victorious entry into Jerusalem.
Symbolizing beauty, occasion of great rejoicing and triumph over death, Christians regard and devote themselves to reflecting on the sacrifices Christ made to save the world. At NTA Chapel of Resurrection, Abuja, Palm Sunday was marked with the traditional procession, with members taking the light walk before commencing service. Vicar of the chapel, Reverend Canon Jacob Ibiatan, in a sermon on walking worthy of God's calling, admonished Christians to strive to honor and please God in everything they do. He told them to make frantic effort to serve their Creator and learn to demonstrate patience, humility, gentleness, and love. The triumphant entry of Jesus Christ into Jerusalem, the vicar re-echoed, broke every barrier and bondage and advised Christians to look up to God for help, no matter the circumstance.
With that, his triumphant entry into Jerusalem, demonstrating that he is the mighty deliverer, the Messiah, the Savior of the world.
Reverend Canon Jacob advised the church, nation, and families against bitterness, eschew hatred, and embrace harmony.
Whatever may be the differences, whatever may be the groups, ethnic groups, geopolitical zones, regions, Jesus has broken all barriers and he has come for peace. He is peace. And so we must strive to maintain peace with one another.
In Abuja, Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Now joining us in the studio to talk more on Palm Sunday is Reverend Israel Akonji, the Chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria North Central Zone. Reverend, it's very good to have you on in our studios, NTA International. Reverend, welcome to the program.
Yes, happy Palm Sunday to all of you. Today is a very important day in the beginning of what we call the Passion Week.
All right. Okay, at a time when the Christian community is reflecting on the sacrifice of Jesus Christ for the redemption of mankind, what would you say are the takeaways for Nigeria, especially in view of the nation's current economic and security challenges?
Well, thank you very much. The purpose of the coming of Jesus Christ into the world was to give his life for the redemption of mankind. Jesus did not come for a self-centered life, but a sacrificial life. He came in order that men will be reconciled to God and men will have abundant life to live and fulfill destiny. And in order for this to happen, Jesus had to give his own life as a sacrifice. That is what we are celebrating this season. And what this means to us is that we should live our lives in such a way that we will not be self-centered, but our lives will be for the glory of God and the blessings of others. In our country, Nigeria, we do not see too much of that happening. We see people living for themselves. All that we say about corruption, all we say about not caring for the poor and the needy people is because people have a self-centered life, not a selfless life, the kind that Jesus had and made him to offer himself. So we should all arise and be sacrificial not thinking of ourselves alone, but we must think of the good of others. And in the midst of this economic distress, many people can be assisted when we become selfless and think of the good of others. Jesus thought of the good of others, and that's why he came. And we are supposed to replicate that by the way we live, by thinking of the good of others. And if we do so, Nigeria will be a better community to live in, and people's life will be blessed.
Absolutely. All right, Reverend, Palm Sunday, as we knew it, is characterized by large processions with the associated paraphernalia of palms, but this was not the case this time around. Can you speak to the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the commemoration?
Yes, thank you. The coronavirus pandemic has impacted worship in various ways. If you notice, the way we worship is quite different from the way we used to worship. Even sitting arrangements in churches have changed. All the things we need to do in order to get to the church, the protocols to be followed, they are things that are new. They've been on only since during this pandemic. We've been told to avoid crowds, and therefore, even to attend church, number of people have to be reduced so that we can have few people to worship and the place will not be crowded. The usual style of the celebration of the triumphal entry, which is the Palm Sunday, was to have large crowds of people singing hosannas, and if we do that, we will be breaking the protocols on COVID, and therefore, in order to be able to keep the protocols until God gives us total victory over COVID, we have had to reduce the celebration. Only few people have gone on processions, and so the crowd has not been like before. The church has to comply by the protocols of government in order for us to have a healthy society. We do not want the pandemic to be spreading around because we are celebrating Palm Sunday and then we pass around sicknesses to one another. At the end of the day, we have no benefit from that. Therefore, we are obeying the protocols and we are having a low-key kind of Palm Sunday. Yeah,
very, very important. All right, finally, before I let you go, Reverend, are there any attitudinal changes you expect to see from Nigerians as the world reflects on the Passion of Christ?
Yes, definitely this is a time for sober reflection. The reason Jesus came, like I said, was to reconcile us to God, the Lamb of God that takes away the sin of the world. This is a time for us to reflect on our lifestyles, a time for repentance, a time for sober reflection, a time for reconciliation with God. And if definitely we live in reconciliation with God, then we will live the kind of life of love that God himself had that made him to send his son, Jesus Christ. The import of this is that we will also show love to one another. In our country, Nigeria, we have a lot of very negative things happening: banditry, terrorism, attacks, killing, rape. All these things are completely against the laws of God. Yes. And the laws of God are summarized in love. It is because of love that God sent Jesus Christ to come to the world, that we may be forgiven and reconciled. Absolutely. Therefore, this season is a season for love, and we should do away with everything about hatred and killing, the murder, all kinds of wickedness should stop, and love should spread around in Nigeria.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Israel Akonji, Chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria North Central Road. Thanks for being with us on NTA International and sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you. All right, moving on now to security matters. And the Nigerian Navy says it has expanded its policy and operations to effectively tackle insecurity in the maritime space. Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Awol Gambo, who said this during his familiarization tour of units and establishments at the Eastern Naval Command in Calabar, notes that the actions are in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's order to restore the nation's security. Justina Etim reports.
The familiarization visits took the Chief of Naval Staff to units and establishments, which include the Nigerian Navy Secondary School, Akpabuyo, the site for the proposed Naval War College, the Nigerian Navy Reference Hospital, and more. Addressing officers and ratings, the Chief of Naval Staff harps on professionalism and integrity, warning that the Nigerian Navy will not hesitate to sanction personnel who collude with criminal elements to perpetrate oil thefts, kidnapping, economic sabotage, and other crimes within the maritime space.
We intend to fill the gaps where we observe operationally, because our operations are very dynamic, and we re-strategize as the challenges vary.
The Chief of Naval Staff also disclosed that the Nigerian Navy will ensure the upgrade of facilities and equipment at the reference hospital, as well as capacity building of personnel.
I shall ensure our engineering personnel are availed requisite training, facility upgrade and repair kits to enable them undertake basic first-line maintenance.
The Chief of Naval Staff also reiterates that personnel who excel in their duties will be rewarded. In Calabar, Justina Etam, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, says 2 towers along the Damaturu-Maiduguri 330 kV transmission line have again been vandalized by insurgents less than 24 hours after power supply was restored to Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. The incidents, which occurred in the early hours of Saturday, again cut power supply to Maiduguri and its environs. TCN says this time the insurgents chain-bombed 2 other towers, T152 and T153, along the same line route of the other incident that left Maiduguri and environments without power supply for 2 months. TCN assures that it will continue to do all that it can to ensure power supply is restored to the affected areas. In another development, a special investigative task force set up by the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, in continuation of ongoing investigations into the reported attack and attempted murder of the Governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, has arrived Makurdi, the Benue State capital. A statement from the Force Public Relations Officer, Commissioner of Police Frank Mba, says the team, led by DCP Abba Kiari, consists of operatives from the Tactical Investigation Units of the Force Intelligence Bureau and other experienced crack detectives with specialized competencies in crime scene investigation and reconstruction, ballistics, fingerprint analysis, and other core areas of forensics. The team is expected to take over and consolidate on all ongoing investigations into the incidents. The team is also expected to investigate all angles of the reported attack with a view to ensuring that all persons empirically linked to the incidents are apprehended and brought to book. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police has charged the team to be professional, thorough, and clinical in their investigations. They are expected to liaise and work with the Benue State Police Command and other relevant members of the law enforcement community to ensure that they deliver on their mandates. In the meantime, operatives of the Nigeria Police Force have arrested 16 suspects for complicity in a series of violent and unprovoked attacks on security operatives and facilities in some states of the Federation, particularly in the southeastern part of Nigeria. A statement from the Force Public Relations Officer, CP Frank Mba, says the suspects were arrested in various parts of the country following sustained and intelligence-driven operations. Police investigations clearly established and linked the suspects to several incidents of attacks and murder of security personnel, as well as stealing, unlawful possession of firearms, arson, and malicious damage to operational assets of military and law enforcement agents. A total of 9 AK-47 rifles, 5 other sophisticated firearms, 17 AK-47 magazines, 549 AK-47 live ammunition, 10 improvised explosive devices, camouflage bulletproof vests, walkie-talkies, and other incriminating items were recovered from the suspects. Meanwhile, the IGP reiterates that the force will not tolerate any further attacks on its personnel or any citizen by any individual or group under any guise whatsoever. You're watching the news on NTA International. A break beckons now. Stay with us. We'll be back after this break.
What limits you? Nothing. Who defines you? No one. Where can you go? Everywhere. With unlimited super-fast internet access, free Intel-to-Intel calls, and crystal-clear quality conversations, you can do and be whatever you want to be. Intel.
Thanks for remaining with NTA International. Now, the national leader of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has advocated the need for Nigerians to unite towards addressing the nation's developmental challenges rather than promoting ethnic, religious or sectional interests. He was speaking during a courtesy visit to the Emir of Kano, Aminu Aro Bayero. Abdullahi Mustafa has details.
Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu is in Kano on a two-day visit to attend his 69th birthday colloquium and interact with people of the state with a view to promoting national cohesion.
To sustain a bridge of peace, prosperity, harmony, tolerance.
National interest, he stressed, should be prioritized by every patriotic citizen for the country to achieve its development goals. Emir Amina Ado Bayero commended the bridge-builder role of the APC leader, describing him as a true patriot and statesman. Thereafter, Senator Tinubu inaugurated the remodeled office complex of the Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission. He also inspected other mega projects of the Ganduje administration, including bridges, ultra-modern cancer treatment facility, and the Aliko Dangote Skills Acquisition Center. Senator Bola Tinubu enjoined people of Kano to continue to support Governor Ganduje's move to take the state to the next level. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Modern scientific discoveries have proven that it is possible to achieve frequency stability of the long-term evolution of spectrum between the mobile and broadcast mast signals in a digital world. Abdurrahman Ubzuman Jibrila reports that this came to the fore during the fellowship conferment and award session organized by the Nigeria Institute for Electrical and Electronic Engineers.
These are the 24 engineers conferred with the Fellowship Award of the Nigeria Institute for Electrical and Electronic Engineers and the Executive Director Engineering NTA, Stephen Moses Okpanachi, is among the awardees.
Not an award to me, but an award to Nigerian Television Authority.
In a lecture presented on the latest discovery to hinder the continued interference of signal spectrum between the signal waves of mobile and broadcast mast by Stephen Okpanachi, put the research outcome into perspective.
It is feasible in Nigeria to coexist together. So in other words, we could now effectively and efficiently utilize the frequency spectrum for the benefit of mankind.
Some of the awardees say the development will inspire massive participation that will improve operations of service providers for maximum impact and appreciate the honor which will spur them for greater performance.
The challenge ahead is that for engineers there will always be problems. So as we solve one problem, or other problem will still come.
We need to be more visible. We need to showcase our excellence. We need to showcase our competence to the world.
Stakeholders believe that harmonization of the frequency spectrum will expand the digital space and provide job opportunities to millions of Nigerians and beyond. In Abuja, Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
President Vladimir Putin urges Russians to get vaccinated against COVID-19 amid high level of skepticism in Russia and suspected suicide bombers attack Indonesian church during Palm Sunday Mass. Joyce Ometu has details of these and more on Global Updates.
South Africa plans to administer COVID-19 vaccine to 200,000 people daily. So far, More than 230,000 persons have been vaccinated in that country. The government says it aims to inoculate around 40 million of the country's population, which recorded the highest number of COVID-19 cases and deaths in Africa. Meanwhile, President Vladimir Putin has called on Russians to get inoculated against the coronavirus amid a slow vaccine rollout and high levels of skepticism in the country. Putin says getting vaccinated is necessary. And authorities in India have imposed a nighttime curfew on the western state of Maharashtra after the state capital, Mumbai, reported a record daily rise in cases. Mumbai's Mayor Kishore Pednekar announced that the statewide curfew, which is between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m., begins Sunday and will be enforced until April 15. In the meantime, total positive cases globally have reached 127 million, with more than 2.7 million fatalities. Total cases in Nigeria rose to 162,489 after 101 new cases were recorded Saturday. Away from the global scourge, a suspected suicide bomb attack outside a Catholic church in Indonesian city of Makassar has left at least 14 people wounded as worshippers gathered on Palm Sunday. Indonesian President Joko Widodo said he strongly condemns the act of terror, while the country's religious affairs minister urges police to increase security measures at places of worship. From Sudan, the country's interim government and a major rebel group on Sunday signed a document which paves way for a final peace agreement by guaranteeing freedom of worship to all. The signing is viewed as a crucial step in efforts by the power-sharing government headed by General Abdel Fattah to reach accords with rebel groups across the country and end decades of conflict that left millions displaced and hundreds of thousands dead. And that ends this segment. I am Joyce Ometu.
Thank you, Joyce. Now, Senate President Ahmed Lawan sends his best wishes to former Governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on the occasion of his 69th birthday on Monday. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the Senate President on Media and Publicity, Ola Awuni, Senator Lawan joins family members, friends, and political associates of the national leader of the All Progressives Congress in rejoicing with him for marking the day in good health and high spirits. Senator Lawan observed that the Jagaban of Borgu is also a founding father of his great party, the APC, and has been consistent alongside other leaders in guiding the ruling party along a progressive path for the growth of Nigeria's democracy and the development of the nation. Similarly, Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila has celebrated the national leader of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on his 69th birthday coming up on March 29th. Gbajabiamila, in a statement, was full of praise for the Jagaban of Borgu kingdom, noting that the Asiwaju has been living a fulfilled life worthy of emulation by all. He said, as a foremost progressive Democrats, Tinubu's doggedness, determination, resilience, and commitment alongside other patriots made it possible for the entrenchment and deepening of democracy in Nigeria. The Speaker noted with delight that Tinubu is one Nigerian that has carried everybody along politically, socially, and economically, irrespective of tribe, ethnicity, religion, gender, or station in life, earning himself many positives, as many see in him an emancipator, a great philanthropist, a rallying point, and a unifying pillar. Those that come from his school, Gbajabiamila added, know that he stands for justice and fairness for all, as his presence in the political space is more than a blessing. He prayed that the Almighty Allah will continue to preserve the life of this great man and give him the wisdom and good health to continue with the work of nation building. Up next is the sports update.
It was a harvest of gold Sunday at the Lafia Township Stadium, with Nasarawa United winning 5-3 against Abia Warriors in the biggest win of Week 18. Lobby Stars lost away to Aqua United in Uyo 3-0 as Plateau United earned all 3 points in a 2-1 victory over Enugu Rangers in Jos. Kwara United got the only away win in Katsina, with the home side Katsina United losing 1-3 to maintain its grip on the log of the Nigeria Professional Football League. The strict quarantine rules in Australia, which has helped the country maintain a low COVID-19 infection rate, means that world number 1 Ashley Barty may not return home until after the end of the 2021 tennis season. She was speaking after a 6-3, 6-2 victory over Yelena Ostapenko at the Miami Open, where she is the defending champion. Obviously, with the quarantine laws in Australia, we do our 2 weeks quarantine in a hotel, and there is actually not a lot of space in the season to be able to do that just to get home for the 2 weeks. Meanwhile, British boxer Dillian Whyte is on his way to having a shot at the heavyweight world title after knocking out the Russian Alexander Povetkin in a rematch decided in Gibraltar. The impressive record of the Russian is now dented the more, having only lost to Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko in 39 fights. The result is also an answer to critics who had questioned the timing of the rematch after Povetkin knocked out Whyte in August 2020. "I am just sad I didn't get it finished in the first round," said Whyte, but his promoter is happy all the way. He manhandled Povetkin. He battered him from pillar to post. "We are back where we wanted to be. The aim remains the same, for Dillian to have a shot at the World Championship." The sports update, Manzi Marcus, NTA News.
And next is the weather forecast for Monday. Well, that concludes the news on NTA International for now. Do remember to join the NTA in the stand against rape and rapists. I am Dennis at Digmuya. Thanks for watching.